We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back. That still has a nice beat to it. Still seated twerking to bounce. New Year, and that song still has a vibe in 2025. Also, it's time for a new intro. I am in with a podcast change. I added the F.A.A.F.O to it, but I'm back with the same formula that has allowed me to be successful in the past. I've set realistic intention. I plan on being present and following through, but I still intend to remain petty and hold grudges. Not all intentions need to be positive. Also, I will be unengaged and unbothered by people and things in my life that do not serve me. That means parasitic people, unsolicited judgments, biased newspapers, and mainstream banks. I will not apologize for maintaining my mental peace. Happy and unbothered and at peace because I'm at unbothered. All day, every day, being unbothered is my way. Join me. Petty affirmations and observations. Not arguing or fighting in a relationship represents that they, he, or she is just not all that into you. Being forgetful is a sign of high intelligence. Well, I might just be a dang genius. Why is it that when people sell their souls to a devil, they are shocked when they get up covered in ashes and smelling like smoke? I bet that's an everyday occurrence or feeling of every political party affiliate and business alliance. I bet they really think this every day as the smog surrounds them like pig pen. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute. We need clean air. We really do need a wind to blow this smog out. Petty-lations. Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Where's to know and where's to grow a temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. On this part or this segment of the show, what I'm reading this week, what the F.A.A.F.O is reading, I am continuing my breakdown of The Confidence Game by Maria Konnikova. And this actually goes with, I really am looking forward to becoming a certified fraud inspector. The world of crime it's just fascinating. How can you run a scheme for 20 years and people just blindly give you money? I mean, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. You actually can look somebody dead in the face and just lie. What do you do? Crime. And that's exactly what these people are. From the Steve Cohns of it all to the Farkases down in Florida, big mortgage schemes causing the collapse of, what is it, Colonial Bank in Florida, having whole bankers basically hide millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in loss. You may start off halfway, kinda legit, and then just go millions and billions of dollars into crazy. They say a sucker is born every minute, but you have to be a great liar in order to be able to continue or get the grift going. And again, being able to lie with a straight face, and when you get caught out, not getting into, you can only get into your feelings um you can only get into your feelings if you want to, but you don't really have feelings. You only get feelings because somebody found you out, and they don't believe you for some reason. A willingness to cut corners and to chance rationalize away cutting those corners. You know how to self-justify something is not so bad because everybody's trying the edge. That's what the other brokers over at SAC said. Or you could just be straight up lying and say, we pay attention, we're ethical, we safety, and then do the exact opposite. That's what they did at Farkas down at that mortgage brokerage. Or PG&E. They basically, it is a government sanctioned monopoly, or were, because they filed for bankruptcy and it got broken up. Government sanctioned monopoly, cut corners for decades, led to the most horrible and destructive fires in California history. And all they had to do was basically follow the rules, from reinforcing gas lines to not cause one of the largest and destructive gas explosion in San Bruno, to the Camp Fire, and even the current fires that basically burned down most of the coast in Malibu. And they did it because they were told, we value profits. They were straight up, and they actually wrote it down. But at least that's a special kind of sociopath. They don't even try to pretend to lie. They just said, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you the truth. And people are going to look, they're going to be fine as long as they're profitable. And that is probably one of the most concerning things that I call it the current national sociopathy, because as long as people they knew that you can be a felon, you can lie, cheat, file for bankruptcy, but you still worth $1 billion personal wealth because you don't pay your bills. You can still run an entire country. It's only going to be, and you can actually look like a melting wax face or the witch in Empire Strike Back, or the wizard, or whatever he is, and still sneak in to try to steal people's information in order to make a point and to build your own AI machine. But at the same time, because it just is a machine, everything's cool as long as your stock prices don't fall by 50%. When people start doing your bidding, and then you start getting sued because they said, if we do X, Y, if we did X, Y, and Z, but now you hitting my pockets, then we're gonna have a problem. That's why I think y'all need to leave Costco alone, because Costco has basically said Where can you get a hot dog for $1 and plan somebody's funeral? That is where gonna leave off. And I'm gonna play a little bit of you because this is what people don't understand. Costco can basically afford to basically tell the U.S. government to go and kick rocks and to thumb their nose at governors from the red state, because you're not going to tell anybody what to do, because they're rolling in that Walmart money, former Walmart shopper money, and former Target shopper money. Target did the bidding of the U.S. government, kicked a whole bunch of Black and people of color products out of their shelf through integration and just downright ending contracts. Now they're actually having to close their store and dim the lights to keep the lights on, and increase the thermostat to deep, so because they can't afford to keep the stores cool because everybody now is shopping somewhere else. They're doing like me in a form of a boycott. They're even going directly to the distributors, bypassing them altogether, or they're shopping elsewhere. We're not using Amazon. We're not shopping at Walmart. We're not shopping at Target. We are going to the Costco's and others and Etsy's just because. So if you think, again, and I said this in the last segment, why are you going to lay down with a demon and then get concerned when your hair is full of ashes and you smell like smoke? Why are y'all shocked? Is there a makeup or a profile of a good con? They are great at lying, and they can suppress emotions, and they have very much control, and they have a bit of charisma. They can talk a very good game, but anybody can get got. That is the whole psychology of someone that is a mark. A mark can look like me because I got several years ago. And I think even the most cynical of us, or you think you're savvy, they said that there is a community, the retirees in Colorado are just built differently. But at the same time, romance scams are still rampant in retirement communities. The lottery scams are still rampant, even today in 2025. So some people have some big life changes. Either they sold a business and they're flush with money. They had somebody dead. They inherited a lot of money. They retired and their retirement account is booming. But you still have to be open to accept either truthfulness or not truthfulness. And you have to always have a level of suspicion. You have to trust people sometime, but sometimes when it does sound too good to be true, it really is. If a skunk is a skunk is a skunk, sometimes you can get fooled into thinking it's a black and white puppy. But once they hit you with that skunk stink, then you actually going to know. So you have to have a little bit of common sense to know, just to be able to tell when somebody's trying to grift you. If it's really too easy or they make some outlandish promises, most legitimate business deals are not secret. You know about them. You also have signs or red flags that nobody is going to say that you're going to have certain amount of gains, because that's not possible because of the inexact nature of markets or different securities. And if they have some outrageous compounded where you have gains, be very suspect on that. If you do somehow beat the market, that's great. But nobody's going to guarantee that you can beat the market. I'm just going to have to put that out there, because there's always a risk in some type of investment. Some of the safest investment are safe because there's not a whole bunch of volatility, and you are promised gains like treasury notes, etc. But if you say in the short term you get all this money back, but what is exact mechanism of this investment? Be always suspect. Have a certain level of suspicion. Don't follow anybody blindly. That goes for anybody, these financial advisors and firms, etc. Be willing to accept the risk if you are going to participate, but learn as much as you can, pay attention and take notes. And don't accept one person's word. Truly do your research before you truly get got. Because the profile of somebody that a mark is so varied. That's why you actually have to protect. You are the best protector of yourself. Always just beware.
Lift every chair and swing till all them white folks scream. Thought y'all could run up on our black king. I'm glad the squad pulled up, dedicated to Nuck if you buck. May it resound loud as the rolling sea. Throw your hats high in the air until Unc comes with the chair. Swim the seas until our cousins come and they rescue me. Let this be a lesson to y'all. Remember the Montgomery Brawl, where white folks fucked around and they found out.
Sometimes you just got to boss up and show MFers, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to switch things up. That's why I decided that, yes, I was going to use the same singing about our white hat and the Montgomery celebration, now that it's called, and change this segment of my podcast to Awake History and Other White Hat and Folded Chair Moments, because a bunch of the are using the words wrong anyways. And I don't want to use words like woke and DEI because that makes me a target. Because I find that bullies go after the low-hanging fruit, and they will try to harass and try to dox you and try to harass you just because they're cowards. And y'all using the words wrong anyways, you know? Dear all of y'all, all the non-blacks, fake liberals, we, meaning black women, black folks, non-white folks, don't want to be y'all. Y'all hate and you try to malign what you don't understand because we are just who we are. We only have to do two things in this world. I only have to do two things in this world. Stay black and die. Everything else is negotiable. You use words wrong. You blow up social support. The effects more of y'all, not me, because we have always been excluded from the creation of the supports. All the supports and structures, basically since the New Deal, have been of benefit to y'all. We disproportionately have been locked out of everything. But yet we rise. More of y'all are on the brink. And we create, in spite of the jails and the plantations that you want us to be banished to, is going to be the same Amazon warehouse, i.e. workhouse, you're going to be forced to work in, because there's going to be no other widespread employers. Check that. Bezos has said all of y'all are expendable. That's how they can get rid of all the Amazon, even though they got it emblazoned on their vans and on their smocks, but they're contractors, so they don't get benefits at all. And they're still locked in to produce because they're still indentured to that man. True T, it was always a racket. And they still are not going to be eligible for SNAP, disability, VA payments, etc. Because, poof, all of those are going to be gone because we got the Dogen of it all, DOGE of it all, the DOGE of it all, not the DOGG of it all, wreaking havoc and blowing up every social support system that is propping up these workers. But y'all are trying to get on some get back and to get the information to be able to prop up the figment of Bitcoin imagination. But again, I digress. My people have known extreme poverty, health disparities, food deserts that have affected us all since the beginning of time. But we have enough innate memories to survive. We seek out community more than ever before. We basically have to overcome the lies, the watermelons of it all, to overcome the bouginess in order to be able to profit in this supposed recession. With a swipe of a pen, you want to blow up departments without a plan for replacement. Sad for once, you didn't lie, and you are the great liar. But you basically said what you were going to do, but people chose to believe the opposite. It was like we've been in Groundhog Day since 2016. We always have been outside. You dared everyone to vote for the overqualified former senator, former state's attorney, black woman from Cali. You lined up, all of y'all, fake liberals and all, lined up like a bunch of sheep against reason, ethics, morality. But y'all need to calm down now because this is what you voted for. See, I know myself. I know who I voted for. I know what was right. I read between the lines. I read the lines. I listened to a certain extent what you had to say because I knew all of it was lies. But I had to know, I only knew it was lies because I had the proof of what you were saying and knew not to believe any of y'all. I can only take what passes for news these days in small doses. I know you're going to say stupid, incentive things, incinerators things, to basically deflect from the cowardice and ineptitude. Bro, what are you hiding is what I always think. I deleted my Twitter account because I don't believe X is stupid. I'm not on Facebook like that. And I'm also dialing back auto posts from what social media platforms I actually still halfway passively observe in, like Threads and Blue Sky. Boycotts are allowing me to research and find great alternative. Saving money by closing account, changing insurance, paying off and closing credit card accounts. I'm making my money work for me. I'm investing to protest. I know I'm starting to learn better what short selling is, 5 times signals are, and legally running motherfuckers' pockets. Those are my white hat signals. The list of protests and boycotts are becoming my short sell list. Just saying. I'm always hopeful. I'm not yielding to the chaos because I don't have time or attention for that. I refuse that. I will be petty always, but not paralyzed by it or fear. We're a messy bunch, the shady bunch, the shady bunch. I hope for checks is worth being part of the shady bunch. This week seemed to be kind of long, but several interesting things have happened. And it just also seemed like they've been wilding in true Real Housewife fashion. I didn't see it until recently, but there has been a trailer that dropped for the reunion for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I think it dropped right before the season finale in St. Lucia. All I know is I thought Erica Jane, Bose, even Dorit looked really good in those feathers and barely covered G-strings and bikinis. I pointed out online that, yeah, I'm straight and not on the DL, but damn, Erica Jane looked good. But it just seemed that, contrary to what Bose wanted, from the boat ride to the room selection to what's her name, Sutton pouting, it just seemed to be kind of lackluster. I mean, there were moments of funny and there were like moments of flash and beauty and just really fun that you and grandeur and opulence that you could expect from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But then it was met with kind of, it performative in certain things, like Kathy Hilton being a ditzy rich white woman with hot flashes and putting on her own makeup, and it just was a lot. And then in the middle of it all, we had the trailer for the reunion dropped, and it looked like Erica Jane was gathering all the girls, which I completely appreciate. And then saying that Garcelle was kind of uninteresting. And I need to know more about that because it seems like a lot is done off camera. And those are the moments that you realize in reality TV. I just basically watched season 5, which seems like should be the template of how you're supposed to be on reality TV. How Kim and her wig didn't get a pass on This is Real Housewives of Atlanta season 5. Kim and her wig didn't get a pass because the rest of the cast basically said, if she does not show up and just be truthful for once, we're not filming. They basically had to boycott her and her wig and her antics. How Kenya Moore, the Moorman of it all, basically having her fan and popping her fan, how is that apropos for the times that we're living in now? How Portia basically being Cordell Stewart's beard, and she was wanting to portray the good wife to basically pump him up and to, solidify her space on that cast, not knowing how many actual days there are in a year. Those little gems. And how disrespectful Hood Rat Apollo Nida is. How shady and fake F.A.A.F.O was. And how Nene basically thumbed her nose to the other girls, even though she was on two different shows, Glee and The New Normal, making the rounds and appearances on Broadway, getting Greg made his, God rest his soul, leaks to repropose to her after they had actually gotten on the show. I think he lost the grip and then they got divorced and then he reproposed and they rekindled. All of that. The fake relationship with Walter, with Kenya, how they showed up, continued to take it all, body blow by body blow, being called a whore, all of these weird stuff, and they all showed up to one of the highest rated seasons. And then we have Fancy Garcelle of it all, just because she declared herself the fan favorite, and she was probably for 3.5, maybe 4 years, 4 seasons of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then she says, I'm good. I got my lifetime money. I don't need this anymore. But she has to realize that although she really was dissed and maligned by Sutton's mother, who I believe is a roving racist, Sutton, who's only, that was her alliance. And it was true what Carlos and the rest of the Raindrops said. Y'all had an alliance, but Trill T, if you really have quit Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Sutton ain't gonna dial or be what you need in a real friend to be. Your real friends are going to call you and check in on you, but that white girl ain't going to call and check in on you because she wants to get in and be accepted by the Kyle Richards and the Kathy Hiltons of it all. Garcelle, Sutton, and I think she realized this. That's why she gave the deuces. But if she had stayed and explored real friendship of it all, because Bose is the type of person I believe that you would want in your corner. The Erica Janes of it all, because she would be fun. And could you imagine being out of a newly freed and unattached Erica Jane? Being out there with her truly stardom, and her is on the rise. Could you imagine? I think I was looking at her neck. She need to talk to Paul Nassif and them over at Botched because she's starting to get that really drawn turkey neck thing. And I think they're going to need to release some adhesions. But other than that, to see that in the second part of both of their lives and fame, what they actually do with that, and then having the bows of it all and making the platform be truly a celebration and fun again. But instead of you fold it, I'm with Erica, full shade and lightly shade by Bose on what happens now. Watch what happened now with Andy Cohen, because why couldn't she, instead of quitting, why couldn't she have gone on pause? And that lends me to who also may need to go on pause and work out what they need to be contributions to the show. If Kyle is not willing to continue to put it all or on the line, or she doesn't feel she's strong enough to be able to stand up to the questions, if she's really not able to give the reality of her life anymore, or at this stage because she just doesn't know, maybe she needs to go on pause. And even though she's shady as hell and she's Delulu, if Sutton is going to continue to be delusional, I want to see what she is actually going to do when she doesn't have any allies. I want to see her basically embrace the delusion And just be real. We saw, even though they were I thought they were all disgusted by it. But that, I think, when Sutton basically says that she looks down on people like Dorit because she is better money than people like Dorit, whatever that means, fine, say that if that is your truth and lean into it and don't apologize for it. But don't backtrack, because that makes you seem to be a hypocrite and unreal. We're going to need more delusion, because now that Garcelle is gone, we are going to need a new face. And I think Kyle really, if she's not going to come back and clock in fully, she's going to need to have a seat. And it would be great to see what her other sister is. We got quirky Kathy Hilton, but her ditzy rich woman, I'm hot flashing menopausal shtick is actually getting kind of old. I also, again, I'm piggybacking off of something that I heard on Reality with the King, and they basically reported they need a soft reboot, not a full reboot like the disastrous Real Housewives of New York. But we're kind of over the stick with Kathy Hilton. But wouldn't it be kind of cool to see the interaction of the next generation? What actually is Kyle's eldest daughter doing now? And the Portia of it all, and how the cousins are interacting. Are they estranged because their mothers are estranged? I honestly think a lot of them are married and have kids. What actually is going on with Paris and Nikki Hilton? And they're actually married to other moneyed white folks. I think Nikki Hilton is married to a Rothschild. I think Paris Hilton, now, her husband, I don't exactly know what her husband is or does, but I think he's also frustrating. They got that long money, generational wealth money, and she had 2 children by surrogacy. How is Kathy Hilton relating to her kids, and are they willing to actually show that on air? Because that would be really refreshing, and it would be a setup for a great spinoff. And then introduce people like Nicole Richie. What are the kids actually doing, the next generation? Because the current generation, the beef between Kyle and Dorit was actually interesting, but I need a new storyline because that kind of fizzled out. What is PK drinking again? Is Mo a drunk and drinking? Why did Kyle stop drinking? How does that affect? What is her real relationship with her kids, if she has one? Or do they, under her breath, roll their eyes and think she's a weirdo and they don't want to talk to her? Is there one of her kids that's willing to basically present what she did in the previous 11 or 12 seasons? That would be interesting to me. But if you're really all into self-producing and only and talking about conversations offline and after the fact, I'm not really interested in all of that. And if you are willing to show the good, the bad, the goofy, maybe we need to lend it to, I want to see what actually happened. We saw Portia get a Porsche for her 16th birthday, which is so Beverly Hills, but we don't know how she really is reacting to that now that both of her parents are living in separate housing, and how she's navigating between. Is she staying with Kyle, or is she over there chilling with her dad? Or does she have her own apartment? Because her dad has a very successful real estate agency. I do want to see how Bose, the houses she worked and the home that she built and created by herself after 20 some odd years of working burned to the ground, how she, as a former executive, is navigating all of that. That kind of stuff, although it's kind of sad, I think she would make it look glamorous. And her bounce back, I'm so willing to see that. But all this other self-produced stuff, I don't really need to see that. And I want to see Garcelle. I want to see you win. It would have been cool seeing you react on the show to your new grandchild. And how is your son doing? Or did he fall off the wagon? And if he did fall off the wagon, how is he managing that now that he has a newborn? And who is that newborn by? That's the question I have, girl. Because I thought his previous baby mamas, I don't think it's the same mama of this little kid. So y'all gonna have to, that's the kind of stuff I would like to know. And it's not dirty and it's glamorous, but y'all make it look good because y'all are beautiful, strong women. And I think a balance of them both is called for. But didn't you kind of sign up for us knowing the nitty-gritty details of your reality or just snippets of it? But this also being, the days are over of being confessional assassins. We're going to need to see more reality to people's face. This acceptance of side talking by mouth, nobody is with that anymore. Girl, they snatching peaches and edges, bringing the juice and shade, and kicking MFers to the basement at Real Housewife of Atlanta, or Atlanta, is back, and I am here for it. You know, I did not anticipate this from Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think the shift is in the air. I think in previous episodes I made no excuses that I was not impressed with Marlo Hampton having a peach, although I liked, what's her name? The track star. I thought she was cool. I did not know what Drew was doing. I thought she was being performative. Sheree and her sheen of it all was funny, but it was again performative. And I thought it was a little bit fake. And I completely agreed with the Moorman of it all, Kenya Moore, saying y'all are ruining the show and declassing the show. That's what Nene Leakes said. And it was very interesting that I knew a shakeup was coming because one, it had gone on pause for almost 2 years. Candy said she wasn't coming back. That's when everybody started talking about Phaedra Parks coming back, possibly. But I knew she had been on Married to Medicine. But she was only showing up to get her check, to be in the scene, and twirl and go away. She really didn't have a significant part. Her alliances were very surface. She basically kicked Quad to the curb. She got played by Apollo and his now soon-to-be ex-wife. But she evidently did well on Traders, had been on Dancing with the Stars. So it wasn't, even though she was put on pause after season 9 and she lied on Candy, she was still in the Bravo zeitgeist that she was able to actually come back and got evidently a lucrative contract that she gave the deuces to Married to Medicine, even though they shaded Real Housewives of Atlanta. Crab mentality. How can you basically turn up your nose to the mess of it all when y'all just as messy. Y'all just have medical degrees, but I digress. And she only was present and used it appropriately because the show that she was on gave them the platform and the start, because nobody was checking for black women in medicine. Girl, really? So now y'all gonna shade once she basically gave you the deuces and ran back and got an even more lucrative contract that kept all of y'all going? Girl, bye. That's why she basically went off on y'all for that reason. And she's still on the cast photo, unlike Kenya Moore. So this is what I see. And y'all are going to hear Real Housewives of Atlanta playing in the background, because I am going to be talking about going around to come around. The P. Willie timeline. Portia Williams married Simon Gabadia. I believe it was after she basically got arrested a couple of times protesting in Kentucky. After she swam in Homegirl's pool, had a dramatic 2-part wedding of it all, and everybody was excited about her coming back and bringing opulence back to Atlanta, because if they had or been allowed or thought to dig deeper into the production of it all, they would have, and now I'm seeing that there were several potential housewives that are that girl that we knew of more so than Portia. But y'all, the strict 2T is when Portia came on and she was married to squarehead Cordell Stewart, there was a facade of positivity in her being a loving housewife at that time. And he played her. He wanted a trophy wife. She was supposed to stay and not become a reality star. She was supposed to actually just did all of that in the house and not shine brightly. She was not supposed to have her own life. And she may have initially married for love and was promised this great life. And that's what she was supposed to basically fill in and play that role. But other mechanisms or other things came to real. And they broke up, and he basically broke up with her on Twitter. Turn 10 years later, same thing happened with fraud that is Simon Gabadia. Then, but you have to look through her other relationship, from the stripper she screwed in South Carolina to Dennis the hot dog man. And I'm not sure of when she got engaged to him and when she announced her pregnancy with Pilar. He was lots of Henny and lots of hookah, but nobody thinks of him as a musical producer. And I don't think she anticipated in the production of her life him still popping up like a roach in the Drew Sidora storyline. I think she was going to use her name because her father and grandfather, Hosea Williams, actually and continue to have a lot of prestige in social justice platform in the history of social justice. She tried that on for size, and she actually looked good in it. And I liked the work that she did for the time that she was dedicated to the movement. But also during that time, she became a reality star, expanded Go Naked hair and lingerie lines and homeware, swims in Simon's pool, snatches him from Homegirl, and then they got engaged before his divorce was final with Homegirl. And then, not too long, or probably even during the time that they were just dating, there was trouble in paradise in her bliss. He was then accused of green card fraud, etc. Um, Ended up, while she was going through all of that and basically gave the deuces and went on pause from Atlanta, which resulted in two disastrous seasons that we were subjected to before it was put on pause. And before she actually, I think it's apropos that we saw glimpses of the life that she wanted, jet skiing in Dubai, the private jets that I'm thinking she paid for. She secures a lucrative contract to come back to Atlanta based on her sham of a marriage. And then, and she basically waited to become the face of the franchise. And it was supposed to play off of her storied book marriage, but it was all a sham. I don't think she, and you could see her trying to produce when she got engaged to Dennis, and the issues with her family and how she tried to orchestrate that, but it always would go left. It's a while that I think she mostly secured her spot off of the glamour that was, but I think she underestimated the true and compelling storylines of her castmates. Because I don't think she didn't anticipate Simon being picked up by ICE. I don't think she anticipating her mother, Miss Diane, looking younger than she is. Good work. I ain't mad at it. I don't think she anticipated Kenya being fired because it looks like of the growing relationship between Pilar and with Brooklyn, their daughters respectfully. The it's gonna she at least is gonna have an ally when Frat comes back, but Phony Fei also has selective memory because remember in season 5 she really wasn't checking for her. And that's when she actually was allied with Candy and they were calling the girl dumb, etc. But now both of them are going to be single. And are they going to be allowed to twerk in the name of Jesus? And again, Portia is underestimating the compelling storylines of the other peach holders. I don't think she realized that the Kelly waffle queen of it all, with the abusive ex-husband and his embezzlement, because I think she's probably on the cusp for having to file for bankruptcy or she's clawing herself out of bankruptcy. I don't think she estimated Drew check making with her baby daddy. And again, we knew him for Henny and Hookah, but nobody knew he was a music producer and also vying for her as far as screen time. And that storyline being more salacious than her divorce from a fraud king. Nobody, I think she completely underestimated that. I don't think Britt and her insurance, I don't I think there's more of a story there, and there may be trouble in paradise with the two-ring marriage. They got married probably by Zoom during the pandemic, and there may be some issues where her sisters probably are suing her for fraud. I don't think she estimated the Shamia Morton of it all. But I'm going to get to that because I got a whole bunch to say on that, because that surprised me. I don't think she overestimated, or she underestimated, the compelling storyline of Angela, who's married to the former NBA star Charles Oakley. Why did she meet him and why is he living in an apartment complex? It's not even saying that he even owns the condo. How you fall from NBA grace, get kicked out of Madison Square Garden because you wouldn't kiss the former owner of the Knicks. The son now owns it. He basically said, you're not worth anything. Your glory days of playing as a bad boy for the Knicks are over. I have no respect for you, and you gonna need to get the hell out of my spot now. I think something is more with that. Why is she holding on to 5 properties she's trying to remodel and now flip? Was she caught up in some the go-go days? Is this a holdover from the housing bubble from 2008? What are we saying here? I don't get it. And I think her coins I don't want to count other people's coins, but something is going on with that. So then there's Shamia, M. Effin Morton. Who is that girl? Found out today she's a former Church of God in Christ. She actually singing in choirs. She's producing music. She basically still clowning Angela Oakley's 90s nose. Shamia is crazy. Her husband is the HVAC king, Gerald, buying her a $430,000 Cooligan Rolly for her 43rd birthday. Did y'all clock that T last week? Also, she's basically shared so much of her IVF journey. How she's actually her second daughter, who they use the same surrogate as Candy, actually was diagnosed with breast cancer at 32 weeks. The little girl got delivered early and has had so many health challenges, and as well as the former surrogate, who's actually doing well now. And it looks like the little girl, although she's delayed, is doing so much better in spite of having over 10 surgeries. She really has a pot and bait for Chateau. She actually has a strong marriage. She's a working mother, but she also has all the privileges of a housewife. Not on the struggle bus, to the chagrin of Portia. And contrary to popular belief, she's not Portia's lapdog. Shamia is truly that girl. She is a queen. She is who Portia is faking to be. And I'm here for it. And it's wild that she's able to afford to even live in the same neighborhood as the true social elite, and probably live there by herself. I don't think the chateau that Shamia lives in has a mortgage. And she doesn't have to be or relegate the husband to the basement because he can't go nowhere else, afford to go nowhere else. Or she can't afford to buy out the husband because it's not that kind of story. That's not her story. She no longer has to dim her light because now she's a full-time peach holder. And maybe that's why also Portia, her underestimation of the rest of her cast member is what's going to get her got, because if other fans of the show are like myself, we're not going to be able to tolerate, because we're sick of it on the other shows. You can try to self-produce this shit and try to do the same stuff as you did in your spinoffs, but we're kind of over the self production. If you're not going to be able or feel that you need to reveal more of the shady side and all of the fakery live about your relationship with Simon G, baby mamas, we don't want to hear anything else about your divorce. I'm not going to, this off camera, confessional assassin, all of us are kind of over that. And it would be kind of interesting to find out that Simon did not anticipate the prenup that he may have wanted you to sign is what is going to save you from him coming after your coins. I don't think she anticipated the fraud of the relationship would be what would tear their marriage apart. Because I don't think he anticipated that she found out about all of this, or all of this would come to fruition before he could cash in. So, with that said, if they continue to give us the real part and not manufactured of these women's life, I think Sonya Taylor Ross is the track star, the 4-time Olympic gold medalist that I thought really wasn't truly made for reality TV. But her husband was fine and her kids were cute. But I digress. Anywho, I don't think Portia nor did Simon anticipate the treasure trove of storylines that she's going to actually have to be able to navigate in and expand upon, because those women are clocked in and they're not coming to play. Nobody's going to dim their light so she can shine. Cordell didn't do it. Dennis didn't do it and is not doing it now. And if he still has not been deported, Simon Gabadia didn't do it. You're going to have to find your way to make the impact and be able to make and earn the money that Bravo is going to pay you, or they're going to snatch that peach back. And you're going to so fast that you ain't going to have time to make peach juice. I'm just saying, girl. Portia, get it together and figure out if you're going to enhance somebody else's storyline, or are you going to reveal the nitty-gritty details of your divorce, how to navigate and co-parent, and be able to show the other positive as well as negative relationship, if you even had one. And that could be compelling too, how you never even had time to develop a relationship, because he was married 4 or 5 times before. What relationship do you have with his other children? Did you have to go through an ectopic pregnancy? What were your pregnancy plans with Simon, if anything? Did you actually miscarry like Shamia did? How did you recover from that? We don't want to see it. We're over manufactured self-production. That is the death knell to a reality star. And if you lean too much or read all the comments and try to adjust accordingly, that can also be the death knell to truly a reality star. So which is it, girl? What are we going to get? Are we going to get the P. Willie of bygone days that thought there were 265 days in the year? Or are we going to get the real Pilar's mom, how to co-parent with Hookah King as you're divorcing from a fraud? All of those things are compelling. Depends on how you want to play it. Oh, up, 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 up. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of F.A.A.F.O has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What? What, y'all? What?